Hey guys, welcome to Brickstars. Today we're going to be looking at the Adventures Desert theme. We're going to be doing a recap of the theme and talking about our favorite parts. So this theme came out in 1998 and it was around until 2003, and it actually had several iterations. So starting off, we had the Adventures Egypt desert theme, the Adventures Jungle kind of Amazon theme, Adventures Dino, and then the final one was Orient Expedition, which was kind of a China, India based theme. So today, like I said, we're looking at the desert theme, and let's start off with the characters. First up is Johnny Thunder. He's the star of the theme, the main character, if you will. And you can see he features a beige t-shirt, a rifle, a bandana, and he was featured in a couple other versions as well over the last couple years. So in the middle here is kind of an updated version of him, which was featured in the Lego movie sets. And then in the collectible minifigure series, we saw a much more updated version of Johnny. We love this version of Johnny, very detailed. The pants, the boots, and he comes with a cute chameleon there. But coming back to the Adventures lineup, Dr. Kilroy, his trusty sidekick. You can see here there's an updated version of him in this year's modular set, which you can recognize the kind of pork chop beard and mustache. But the original minifigure was very simple. We love the suspenders, the belt, the touch of red, and I always love this combination of the white and green. He really stood out. Next up is Pippin Reed. She's usually the photographer in a lot of these sets, and there's rumors that in the Orient Express set that was recently released, she's made a return. So this torso print is not very similar to this particular print, but in, I believe, the Jungle series, she wore something more similar to this. And finally, for the good guys, we have Harry Kane. I love this bomber jacket, the brown color, the brown helmet, cool looking face with the stubbly beard. That completes the good guys that we saw in this lineup. Next up, we've got the bad guys. Here we have Baron von Baron. So he's equipped with an eye patch, and he's got this belt, little satchel thing here, and his trusty sidekick Sam Sinister. So I love this minifigure as a kid growing up. The red shirt, the black suit, all these characters gave me a very kind of Indiana Jones / the Mummy movie vibes. You could just picture these guys being up to no good. And finally, Pharaoh, which was called Hotep. What a cool looking minifigure. Just a different assortment of colors. His red hands, the yellow up top here, the leaves with green, touches of blue and gold. Really, for that era, like, to have this kind of printing and the metallic printing was truly different and special. So he was one of my favorite figures growing up, and he still looks great even today. And so here's some photos that we took showcasing these minifigures. You can see here's the original cast digging up some treasure. Here's Dr. Kilroy running away from the mummy, and here's the mummy itself. So just wanted to show some of our photos highlighting these minifigures. And here's a couple we have of the bad guys. So the Adventures lineup we think looks great, and we love taking photos of the minifigures and the different sets. So speaking of the sets, let's jump into the small ones that we get. This was the era of Lego where really impulse buys, small sets were plentiful. You don't really see this as much anymore. Here you see a collection of a lot of these tiny builds. Yeah, a lot of them are weird and kind of unrealistic, but in particular, I do like this one for the reason being that you get a lot of accessories. So to be able to pick this up and get Johnny as a minifigure, and then a backpack, rifle, shovel, dynamite, a scorpion, really it just adds to any set you have. Or if you were playing around the house and using this figure to play, you got a lot of pieces. Now into some of the more sizable sets. The first one here is the Scorpion Tracker. So we can see this is a neat little vehicle build. You get Johnny, you get a detailed printed map, binoculars, some tools, and a couple scorpions. and we were really inspired by this set. So here's our version. Of course, this is a different vehicle, but it's also broken down like in the previous photos. Here we have the adventurous car. So this one's more detailed, I would say. It's a bit of a bigger build, and we get Dr. Kilroy, we get a skeleton, and again, lots of accessories. So what I loved is that they had a couple different vehicles that you could add to your overall adventures display. And you can see here they also featured behind the box. The back of the box featured alternative builds. Here he is with kind of a different cart. And I love this shot here. Dr. Kilroy capturing what is obviously unrealistic, but very cool. The skeleton kind of driving, attacking him with the scorpion. So you never know what can happen in the desert. And just cool use of parts. Even using the gem here as kind of the badge on the car is a pretty neat touch. Next up, the B-Wing Baron. So great way to get the main bad guy. I think he's usually trickier to get, but this was a very cool looking plane. So it had a couple guns. I especially love this engine piece here, some details with the red and the gray. And what stood out to me was not only can you kind of rearrange the plane, but you could actually build this kind of hovercraft raft thing. Here he is losing his map somewhere in the Nile. So really cool that you could, you know, make something completely different with this set. And then the Treasure Raider set. So this one featured a couple different builds. What I love about it is we start to see some of the detailed printing and stickers that came with this set. So this is a very vintage looking bi-wing plane. And this vehicle here I think looks great too. As you can see, it features this black centerpiece, which most of the other vehicles are in tan. And here we get this beautiful sarcophagus that's a printed piece, one of my favorite pieces that Lego has ever released. So great looking set. You get a plane, a car, a little bit of a desert scene. And so again, 90s sets very much geared towards playability. So these guys could be having a fire here. Harry Kane's chasing them. You can attach the crate onto the bottom of the plane and of course find some treasure. So here you get both bad guys and Dr. Kilroy and Harry Kane. Next up, the Oasis Ambush. This was a smaller set, but I like the set because it features these cool printed parts, and I love this build here that features the treasure chest. So you can see the alternative builds. You can make kind of a small little Egyptian style building. You get the gold coins, and like I mentioned, this was a sticker piece, but this was a printed piece. And I just love this. Dr. Kilroy opening the doors, getting flashed by the mummy, and he's dead. So kind of a cool printed piece that they had. And the gold coins that used to be a standard in Lego sets that are now considered pretty rare. Next up, the Adventurer's Tomb. Kind of a simple set, but you get another sarcophagus. I love that they have plain ones along with the more detailed ones. So I believe this part came in black, red, gray, and then the printed version that we saw. Here's our first look at the mummy and some more detailed printed column pieces. You can see how the set kind of looks in the original instruction manual, and behind the box gives us some alternative builds. So even a set of this side, you could have some fun. I do also like these black doors. I'm used to seeing them in brown, so to see them in black here is pretty sharp. Next up, the Valley of the Kings. This was kind of a weird set in my opinion, a little scattered and all over the place, but there are some things I did like, such as receiving the yellow parrots. Back in those days, I don't think they were very common in this color. And this set had some play features. So here we see the Baron digging up the skeleton. And here we see a different build of the car. So instead of using that kind of standard cockpit, here they use the sarcophagus piece. So interesting use of parts. Here there's a play feature where you can pull this out and the snake flies out. And then there's another play feature here where you can tilt this open to find some treasure underneath. and of course whatever's hidden inside. So yeah, neat little set, but I think they could have done a bit better on this one. Now we get into some of the bigger sets. And here is the Mummy's Tomb. So this set had about 240 parts, 4 minifigures, and when it came out, it was only $30 back in 1998. So I received this set as a kid, and I just remember loving it because you could slide this structure over, and then the spears would come out. The obelisk would topple over. You could spin the mummy to reveal him. So, and you got a nice looking car. So really fun set. Again, lots of printed parts and accessories. And I just love the box. So this is something we don't get anymore, but you get a little bit of a story. You get some play features, something to inspire you, and then a sneak peek at some of those rare parts. So here we have the red sarcophagus piece, the mummy, a magnifying glass, just very cool looking box. And the back of the box on this one featured some interesting builds. This is where things start to get a little weird with this theme. So this one, I could see they kind of made a boat, but using the leaves as propellers as here on the helicopter is kind of weird. This different looking vehicle that Johnny created, and I don't know what this is, but I guess you can't knock him too much for being creative, but yeah, just guess it shows you can really do whatever feels right. And then we have the Sphinx Secret Surprise. This was one of my favorite sets from this lineup. I only recently acquired it. I didn't have it as a kid, but I love the base plate. I love the build, the obelisks. You get a ton of minifigures, and you get this tent here as well. So looking at kind of the play features, you can see there's some treasure hidden under here. There's an obelisk that can topple over. You've got the bad guys camping out and alternative builds. So you can see they've kind of made some more structures, a bit more realistic here. But again, you're going to see here it's pretty cool. They've kind of used the black pieces to make the hair, the blue to make a pool. And here again, using the leaves as propellers, I find kind of funny. But really cool job, whoever edited this back in the day, to make it look like the helicopter's blowing them away. You can see Pippin Reed barely holding on to the tent here. So nice job. A lot of these old photos really inspire us for photos. So our photo style is often similar to the 90s kind of catalog and promotional photos. Just another look at the minifigures, how they look in the instructions, and this fabric tent. So I loved when they'd give us fabric pieces. This is a piece that can be used for Western theme, for Indiana Jones, and we're lucky to have one and still in great condition. And here's some photos we took of the Sphinx Secret Surprise. So just beautiful how this set turned out. It looks simple, but we made some modifications to it, but nothing too crazy, and we just think it's action-packed. And some close-ups of the figures. Here we see Dr. Kilroy. Again, we love the focus in this shot. Here, this is the updated version of Sam Sinister for those who caught it, but we think it looks great nonetheless. And here's Baron as well. So we're really inspired anytime we get to work with the Adventurers lineup. And finally, the Temple of Anubis, or commonly referred to as Pharaoh's Forbidden Ruins. This was the biggest set in the theme at around 668 parts. It had about 10 minifigures, some of them being skeletons. But what an amazing set. I always wanted this set as a kid. It was $80 when it first came out, which would be about $152 in today's dollars. So reasonably priced, and I'm lucky enough to have it now. And I didn't realize until I was building it that this was actually kind of a scary looking face that was built into the ruins. So a lot of printed pieces. The obelisk, you get some side builds here that we'll explore in a little bit. And action packed. So a lot of those play features, you pull these pins out, there's some axes that fall. You could just picture this as kind of like Indiana Jones or Tomb Raider. They're going through, they're falling through traps, they're trying to find the treasure, there's scorpions, there's snakes, And look at this cool shot looking in through the mouth of the ruins. You see the printed parts, you see there's more stuff behind here. And I like this cool use of the crocodile piece colored in dark gray here to kind of look like statues. So great looking set even in the back, lots of details. And the alternative builds, this one's kind of cool. They've used the hot air balloon piece to kind of make like a ball here. They've used the kind of wooden pieces to make some wings here. And this is just a really weird looking car, but I mean, again, goes to show that the only limit is your imagination. And here's a look at some of the parts just scattered. You can see tan, light gray, dark gray. You get elements of green, touches of yellow. Really cool looking parts, and you can see the details that we get. None of these are sticker pieces. So the windshield with the wiper blades and the crack, all these little printed parts. You can see these ones, the columns, and they're not all the same. They've given us a variety of printed columns. This kind of header piece and the main wall pieces, again, they're not all the same. There's variety to them. So lots of cool printed parts, lots of accessories. You can see you get gray parrots, scorpions, a bat, which a gray bat at that time was pretty rare. It wasn't just the standard black bat. So awesome looking collection of parts in this set, and you get all the minifigures, which is awesome. And just some pictures of the instructions. So I love this car build, just having this kind of thing in the back where you can imagine the bad guys are coming. They're looking to steal this rare and surely expensive sarcophagus. Johnny's coming to the rescue with a hot air balloon. It has some controls in here, the flame, tons that you could do and play with this set like for days on end. So, and of course the red ruby, which was treasured in this theme. So whether the mummy's trying to keep it or Johnny's trying to save it or the bad guys are trying to steal it, I remember thinking this was as if it was a real ruby, very rare piece. And just to look at the catalog from that day and age, so you can get a feel for a couple of the sets. Definitely they all tie together nicely. If you had the full set and displayed them on the shelf, it would look great. I love that there was small sets that gave you the opportunity to collect all the different minifigures if you weren't able to get the big set. But just an awesome looking lineup, and like we said, this was their Egyptian desert lineup. They also had the jungle lineup, which we'll do in another video. So thanks guys for watching. Let us know what you think of this theme, and we'll see you next time.